During this year's All-Star Game, baseball's All-Star Game, they mic'd one of the starting first basemen, Freeman. So during the game, they interviewed him for half an inning while he was out in the field. While he's out in the field talking to the announcers, the broadcasters, he starts talking about a moment that meant so much to him during that All-Star break. There's a couple days where the players actually get together around the game. They have a home run derby and some other activities. And he said the thing that meant the most to him was the fact that he has a young son, a 4 to 5 year old boy, who idolizes Fernando Tatis, which in and of itself is kind of hysterical because Freddie Freeman is a great baseball player in his own right, and yet his son, instead of idolizing his dad as a baseball player, idolizes Fernando Tatis. But his son loves Fernando Tatis. That's his baseball idol, and has been talking about wanting to meet him at some point. Now, he doesn't probably realize like what his father's connections are, who his father is in all this, because he's just a little kid. So just like any little kid, he's idolizing this major league player and wants to meet him. But because of who his father is, he was able to set it up so that his son could meet Fernando Tatis during the All-Star Game. And they had video of it. They had video of the dugout when Freeman's son is brought in to meet Tatis. Tatis comes down the dugout, the length of the dugout to meet him. And his little son, who's 4 or 5, I forget what age, his son basically is speechless. He can't talk. He's starstruck. He can't say anything. He can't move. But Tatis, it's awesome. Tatis is great with him. He comes up, he gives him a big hug, and he makes him feel comfortable. And then he spends a ton of time with him. Freeman, as he's playing the field, talking about that, they're showing the video of Freeman's playing the field, they kind of cut back to him, and you can see his face. Now, he's in the middle of the game. He's got to concentrate. The All-Star Game is one of the greatest honors a Major League Baseball player can have, aside from the World Series. It's probably the most important game you can play in. So here he is in the middle of the All-Star Game. This great moment in his baseball career, and he's out in the field. He's actually playing. But when he starts talking about his son, his affect changes. His face completely lights up. I mean, he's already energized to be there, pumped to be in the game. But he took it to another level when he's talking about his son. And he talks about how much that moment with Tatis meant to his son. And because it meant that too much to his son, it meant the world to him, that meant the world to Freeman. Freeman goes on to talk about Tatis and how he tells the announcers, he's an incredible player, but he's an even better human being. He couldn't be more grateful for the time Tatis took out to spend with his son, to give him that moment. And the way Tatis was with his son, the way he was so kind and compassionate and gentle in kind of breaking down some of his starstruckness. We are delighted when we see things like that. That gives us a thrill. It moves us when we see Freeman's response to his son, that he loves his son so much. But if you think about it for a second, if Freeman didn't say what he said during that interview, if he didn't light up when talking about his son, and if that moment didn't mean the world to him, if there was anything else that was more important to him than his son, we would ask, what's wrong with him? If Freeman talked about baseball as being more important than his son, if he talked about his car being more important than his son, if he talked about money being more important than his son, if he talked about his pet, if he had a dog, I don't know if he does, but if he had a dog, if he talked about his pet being more important than his son, we would say there's something wrong with him. We'd question who he is as a human being. He's off somehow. He's not right in some fundamental, actually the most fundamental way. Why is that? Why would we ask what's wrong with him if he didn't respond the way that he did? If he didn't clearly communicate that his son, the love for his son is more important than baseball or anything else in his life? Well, the reason we would ask that, the reason that's kind of our gut reaction, it's a deeply embedded instinct, is because somehow deep down we really know that love is at the center of the universe. Love is what it's all about. If you accept the fact that there is some point to life, there's some meaning to life, there's some creator, some force that's responsible for all of this, then the meaning is found in love. Deep down, that's what it's all about. Love. Statistics consistently clearly come in saying that 80%, a little over 80% of Americans believe in God, report believing in a God. There's only 4%, and this has remained consistent. Like the last big study was done in 1917, and then there was a Gallup, Pew poll done more recently that shows that the people who claim to be atheists, who are certain there is no God, remains at 4%. Only 4% of the population is certain there is no point, there is no God. There's a lot of people in between that 80% who believe and the 4% who don't. There's that 16% margin of people who are agnostic, not sure, don't know, don't commit one way or the other. But the vast majority of people believe there is some kind of God. However, among those people, there's a lot of confusion in terms of who that God is, depending on how you count. There's 5 to 7 major world religions, and in America, people practice all those major world religions. And in addition to that, people practice things like New Age or astrology or variations of those. Some people hold to philosophies that fall outside the realm of religion. So within that 80% that believe there's some kind of meaning or purpose to it all, there's some kind of force or being, rational intelligence behind creation, there's a lot of confusion about what that being could be all about, what that being is like, who he is. But if you think about that for a second, it's actually pretty easy to figure out who that being is. If love is at the center of everything, then that being, that creator, that force has to somehow, in its core, in God's essence, in God's nature, be love. Love has to be somehow the nature, the essence, the purpose, the focus of this God, this creator. And if you want to find out what worldview says that, if you want to figure out where that God has been revealed most fully, what worldview embodies it, that's not hard either. Because even as the other worldviews will admit, like other major religions will say, it's clear that the primacy of love is found most fully in Christianity. The God who is revealed as love is found in Christianity, and Christianity alone. While love is important in other religions, it's not as primary. It doesn't have as much of a central focus. It's only in Christianity where God is revealed as love, where God is love. And so there really doesn't need to be much confusion at all about who this creator is. If you just think for a moment about what is at the center of our lives, what we deeply, instinctually know matters most and must reflect, therefore, if there is some kind of purpose to creation, if there is some kind of creator, must reflect somehow the nature of that creator, it has to be love. And if it's love, then that means it is the God revealed in Jesus Christ, the God who is love. So what do you think about all this? Are you among those 80% who believe there's some purpose, some point, some meaning? And have you figured it out? Do you think that it is centered somehow in love? Or do you think there's some other purpose or point? Or do you think that there's no way to know that purpose or point? I'd love to hear your comments and any other questions or feedback or comments that you have. You can go to the Contact EJ page of the Raising Jesus website and leave them there. I look forward to hearing from you.